We are joined by Stephanie Gerbrandt from Steinbach. Hello, Stephanie.
Hi.
Now, you are a very active person. First of all, you're a mom of three.
Yep.
So how old are your kids and what are their names?
My oldest, Jasmine, she's 13. So luckily almost babysitting age. I have a 10-year-old Isabel. And so they're both in middle school right now. And then I have my little 4-year-old, really busy bee at home. So that's Elijah.
So you've got teenager, you got preteen, and then you got like preschool.
Yeah.
You got a lot of stages going on in your home.
Yep.
Wow. Well, more power to you, Mom. But you're also very busy because, I mean, you teach a lot of physical activity. What are a lot of the courses and classes that you've been teaching over the years?
Well, yeah, I've been taking a lot of courses. I'm certified through Manitoba Fitness Council in Winnipeg. So I started back in 2005, where I took the anatomy and then took the government exam to become a fitness instructor. So I've been having to do that every year. Like, to maintain your license, you have to do training every year. So 10 years ago, I started teaching spin classes. I've been teaching boot camps, a whole variety of classes that we've had at the gym. You know, every couple of years, we tend to change it up, add new classes. I started teaching Pilates about a year ago because I was really because that was when my hip pain really started getting worse. And my doctor said, because that's when I stopped basically all impact. Well, to be honest, I stopped running all impact a year ago because I actually even tore a tendon right off of my bone. So I couldn't even walk. I was even in a wheelchair last June. So so I stopped all that. And my doctor wanted me to really take up Pilates more because it's all on the floor. Pilates is basically just strengthening your hips and core. And he says that's what I really had to focus on because my hip was so unstable. I had to really focus on strengthening it. So that's why I got more into that. So I changed up some classes I did, but yeah, and I enjoy it. It's like, it's part of my life and I like doing activities with my kids, but this last year has been really tough. I can't do it. I can walk, but that's probably about it, right?
So. Yeah. Well, that's why I wanted to talk to you because, I mean, this is your living to teach these classes and to be active with your kids and to be, that's all a part of who you are and what you do. Yeah. And so much of that is being taken away because of your hip problems. Now, this stems back to when your youngest was born, correct?
Yes.
So what are they saying happened to your hips and your pelvic area?
When my son was born, I had osteitis pubis. So basically my pubic bone was separated and it was very, very inflamed. I could barely walk for the first 3 months till they actually gave me a cortisone shot in the pubic joint because it was so badly inflamed. And they said it was it was separated too far. And basically I had another MRI a few months ago and it was still separated. And I was seeing a specialist. I won't mention any names. Doctors are all fine. The thing is, the first specialist I was seeing, he wasn't taking stuff very seriously. I kept telling him I have all this pain and they just kept giving me painkillers. And I don't want just painkillers, right? Because I could feel there was something going on with my hip. I had this really bad pain in the back and my pubic bone was just so painful. So, then I just started focusing more on the strength training because you have to somehow stabilize those joints when they just hurt, right? Because the hip is basically, it carries all your weight. So I have the most pain I actually have is sitting because then I put more pressure on it. So if you can't relax, it's hard. And this last year, definitely the most pain I even have sleeping. So it's even hard getting up in the morning because you're always tired. But
so you can't be active and you can't rest without pain.
No. Sleeping and sitting actually right now is more painful than walking because the hip. But the thing is, it all started then. Yeah, my osteitis pubis, all this pain. So then they did the MRIs. And when they did the MRI to check for the pubic bone, they actually found I had a fracture in the back of my hip from delivery as well. So that explains the pain I had in the back of my hip. So
and all of that has been there for all of that has been there for 4 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the thing is, I was seeing specialists and I was just, to be honest, I think that specialist just wasn't taking it very seriously. So then finally, like say a year ago when I actually I was just going for a bike ride and just suddenly bang, I just had this really sharp pain in my leg. I couldn't move a single step anymore. And I go to the hospital and my tendon tore off of my pubic bone. So then they sent me to a different specialist that was more specialized in hips. And that doctor right away, he took it seriously. He's like, we need to find the root cause. What's going on with your hip? So then he's like, so what he did is that it did another MRI and then an MRA. So one is with a dye injected in the hip, one a basic one. And then he did what they call stork x-rays. So he made me stand on my left leg for an x-ray and then on my right. And he says the pubic bone, first of all, it was too far separated. So your whole hip is not stable if the biggest joint in the middle is not the way it's supposed to be. And he said it's not supposed to shift more than 2 millimeters. Mine shifted over a centimeter just from standing on my left leg to my right.
Oh, wow.
And then with the MRA, they actually found that my labrum was torn as well. And he's like, well, we can't even just fix that because you can't go on crutches the way your pubic bone is, because that's where it all started. And because my pubic bone was so bad, I started getting more issues because he says if the pubic bone is bad, the whole entire hip is unstable.
Oh,
and,
no.
and so and he says that first of all, we definitely need to fix the pubic bone because it's so far separated and bones actually have deformed from being like that. So he says we need that fixed. And then he wants the tear fixed, but he says if they can't fix the pubic bone here, he says, and that's my main issue. That's where it all started. He says they can fix my labrum, but he's like, that would actually be really bad for you getting it done here because then they'll just put a bunch of anchors and screws in my hip. And then my hip will become even more unstable on the other side, trying to stabilize, right? So he's like, and he says there's a doctor in the States that knows how to fix it all without just putting a bunch of screws and plates in my hip, because he says for people that have a tear from a fall or an accident, that works. But because for me, it's all instability, just putting screws in one side of the hip, he says, and the other side is probably going to go soon. And then it's like, he's like, it's going to be this roller coaster. Like you need to get it. He says there's a doctor in the States that can fix it more differently. He fixes it. But what that doctor is going to do, and he's been doing this for over 10 years. It's also an orthopedic surgeon. He's going to fix my pubic joint, fix the tear. And then instead of just putting a bunch of screws and anchors and plates in my hip, he's going to inject stem cells to help it heal. And he says he says it's been very effective for over 10 years, but that is not being done in Canada. That's why that part is not going to be covered. Because he says it's really good. Like it helps it heal further, and then it's going to stabilize it, and so that it can. He's like, because I can't just put screws on the right side and put screws in your pubic joint, and then the left side. It's like he says the outcome will be really bad. And
so basically, they need to fix the foundation before they start fixing the walls.
Yeah, and
right?
at least this doctor in the States, you can do it all in one, and it's a little bit less invasive. So then, and here he said I would probably have 3 surgeries over the next 2 years by the time it's done. And he says the outcome would be bad because of how they do it, right?
Yeah. Well, that's just it. I mean, sending you to Montana, it'd be different. If you had the surgeries here, it would all be covered by Medicare. But you'd have more surgeries and more scar tissue and probably worse off. But if they can send you to Montana and get this fixed in Montana, you have to pay the difference?
Yeah, it's about 6,000, close to 6,000 US dollars. That's without the traveling and everything. But that's what the doctor said. He actually called me. They sent all the discs from our MRIs and MRAs to him. And within a week, he called me already, and he gave me a date for June 22nd to do it.
Okay, so we're moving forward.
The first thing,
you've got an appointment. You are moving in faith that we're going to raise this money for you.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm hopeful, at least finally. This last year has been so tough because I've been to so many nonstop appointments and all the time. It's just tough, right? So he called me, and the first thing he said, like, you're a complicated case, but I can fix you.
I like that optimism. You know, I'm just checking out your GoFundMe page, and I know you need to raise 6,000. You've got a couple of thousand already raised just from your circle of friends, and I think that's absolutely fantastic.
Actually, most of it's been raised actually from people that have been coming to my classes. So I really it's so nice to know that you've had so many people come to your classes that actually like you, like as friends, right? So it's like,
well, you've made a difference in their life, obviously, and now they want to make a difference in your life, and that's the way life should be with the people in our circle. Yeah, that's perfect. So what we're going to do, Stephanie, is we're going to put the GoFundMe link up on the Mixed blog on standbackonline.com. We're going to share your story because we want to help you get back together with your kids playing, not just watching. We want you out there playing with your kids. We want you doing Pilates and teaching again and doing your spin classes. And we want you back active in the community. You're too young to just sit from the sidelines and watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I feel I've been doing the last few months.
We are going to get all this information up on the Mixed blog on standbackonline.com, and we're going to get you as much help from the community as we possibly can.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.